guys, welcome back to another episode of 343. I'm your host AF. Just a friendly reminder that if you are joining us for the first time, then please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sportycast and give this video a like and a share and hit that subscribe button below as well. Okay, so the season is over and yeah, it seems like we have almost a full house. Wasim and Riaz fading on us. One day we'll get that full house. But welcome back to Nikita, Jason, Mubeen, and Ziyaad. You guys good? Nice of Ziyaad to actually join us again. We should actually refer to him as a special guest these days.
Yeah, should we not ask him a question?
There's one of those icebreakers, yeah. Like
the silent partner finally shows his face.
Are you guys good? How's everybody finding this cold weather?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's cold weather, but yeah, I think I'm surviving. Maybe it's like freak out there by him. Maybe
man, if you call 38 degrees cold, then yeah, but
oh my word.
Currently it is quite cold. We're sitting at 29, so see, you guys don't account for the time difference, man. Now you want to come call me a special guest here. The things I have to do to watch football is next level.
Yeah, how was your Saturday night?
I don't know. I stayed up till kickoff and then I woke up and it was 2:35 a.m. and the game was off already. That's why the next morning I still asked, did Madrid win? Because I had no idea.
Almost in luck with all
the biggest challenge is to stay awake, but then when kickoff, I don't know, maybe I just relax and then I fall asleep. I'm just getting old, man. You mentioned salt and pepper.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nah, fair enough.
Yeah. So I've said the football season is now over, culminating in the championship playoff on Sunday evening, which saw Nottingham Forest finally promoted to the Premier League for the first time in 23 years. Leeds and Nottingham Forest back in the Premier League. Oh, it feels nostalgic. On Saturday night also saw Real Madrid edge Liverpool in the UEFA Champions League 1-0 to win the trophy for the 14th time. And last week saw Manchester City winning the Premier League by 1 point ahead of Liverpool in second place. Nikita, commiserations for the loss on Saturday night. As a Liverpool supporter, with 2 cups in the bag this season, how would you describe the season?
There's no way we should have been as successful as we were. I know a lot of rival fans, or to be fair, not really rival fans. There's only one rival, which is City. Don't think so, but I completely disagree. If you think about it, contextualize it, it was 2 goals that kept us from 4 trophies. I'm fairly confident if we had taken Madrid to penalties, we just have too much of the BMP. And if Villa had scored 1 more, or, City hadn't scored the 3rd, we'd be walking around with 4 cups today. Very, very happy with the season. Very, very chuffed to see all 4 trophies go to the last day. Obviously not expecting that after last season, which was exceptionally tumultuous with injuries across the board. So very, very happy. Hoping that, and I think there will be some investment this summer to push on. And all we can ask is that this team, pushes again. It does seem almost counterintuitive these days because, City are just so good. To consistently get 90 plus points, almost 5 seasons in a row is stupendous. And, coming up, like I said, against Real Madrid, it just seems like they have the black magic on their side. It really is. They were absolutely amazing. I take my hat off to them. I was no tears for me after that final. I was chuffed with the boys. I think they gave it their all. Courtois was the Gaia 2018 levels or something. I don't know.
What was that performance?
I have no idea. I saw our XG, which is not the stat I really focus on, but our XG was 2.6. Which just shows the incredulous saves that he makes for a guy of that size to get down that low, spread himself that wide. Absolutely stupendous, well-deserved Real Madrid, 14th in the bag. Hopefully next year we can replicate what we did the last time and go and win it. And it's in Istanbul as well, which is a City very close to our heart. So yeah, that's Liverpool season, I reckon, in a nutshell.
Yeah, so Klopp is already saying that the fans have to book their hotel for next season.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think also, I mean, with the awful things that happened on Saturday night to our fans before and post the game, I mean, the stories we're hearing are horrific. And it's become a real political, like real nightmare at the moment. I think, you know, him saying that, you know, really just gives the fan base a little bit more oomph, you know, after a defeat like that. And I think we saw it all on Sunday. I don't know if you guys saw any photos or videos of the parade. I mean, it's like to lose a Champions League final and still have 500,000 people show up, which is the total population of Liverpool.
And Calvin Harris on the bus.
Yeah, I mean, that was dope. That was really dope. That was really dope. I don't know who called. I think Virgil called in a favor there, but nah, that was a
If it was
really,
Virgil,
really
surely he's gonna call the Dutch DJs, man.
I don't know. I heard from somewhere that it was Virgil that has a connect with Calvin, but either way, it was dope. Yeah, I wish I was there, but maybe next year.
Just staying on Liverpool there, like there's all these rumors, or I don't know if it's like legit now that like Sadio Mane will be leaving. And then I read today that the Poland head coach is basically telling Liverpool to buy Robert Lewandowski. So what's your take on Lewandowski fitting into this team, knowing that he has that relationship with Klopp, knowing that Liverpool will be a quality player down? So, I mean, if Ronaldo has taught us anything, that like you come to the Premier League and you are quality, you will be able to bang in the goals.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been a lot of strange rumors that's been flying around this week. Harry Kane to Liverpool as well. I mean, I think FSG have used up their quota of over 30s extending their contracts, to be quite honest. So I don't think I hold it in very high regard. But I mean, if we had a quality number 9, it would definitely give us a plan B or a new plan A that we probably have never seen with Klopp's Liverpool. And it's a testament to him because he's, you know, his start of play has been so effective all along. But if Robert Lewandowski came to Liverpool, I think it would be quite sensational. I mean, Thiago in midfield, you know, having, you know, Salah, Diaz running off him. I would love that.
That's goals on a platter.
Yeah, but I mean, also to bring someone in 30 plus to the Premier League, I don't think he's as easy. Like Cristiano is a different. He's not human. Like, remember, he doesn't eat anything unhealthy, and he trains all the time and is recovering all the time, and he's played in the Premier League before. So I don't think it would be as easy to bear down a Lewandowski. And you know, Klopp, he gives the guys a lot of time before, you know, they kind of come into the first team. So I think all apart from for now, but definitely the club have something up their sleeve to fill that money shaped hole, which we're all kind of quite devastated about.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we will dive quite deep into that moving forward when we preview next season. But for right now, as a United supporter, the season that promised to be so exciting at the beginning was just more frustrating as time went on. Cristiano Ronaldo arrived. He raised the standards. The players didn't like that the standards were raised. Yeah, it was a bad one. Mubeen, do you want to elaborate?
So again, you putting Man United on me.
Well, we're doing this together. We're doing this together.
Let me cover for the whole season.
You want to trade with me?
Uncle. This guy's bringing his basketball mentality to this.
Yeah, United's like the Timberwolves. They can't deal with it when the superstar comes onto the team and the guys on the team who are better talent-wise, they don't want to lift their game. I'll send you a link. Yeah, you can go see what you need.
But that's 100% though.
And now he's in the conference finals with Miami. It happens, man. You know, some people just aren't built to work. But I'll let you talk about Rashford and his friends.
Yeah. What was the question? Manchester United.
Hey, don't pretend like you don't know, bro. Come, stay with the game, yeah.
Yeah, look, obviously a very disappointing season. Given the hype when, you know, we all found out Ronaldo's coming and so forth. But I don't know where to start. I don't know where to end. Again, I just think it's a boardroom issue where, I think the owners obviously thinking about their pockets and profits and not having a football mentality or anything of that sort. Whereas, us as supporters and we obviously want to see the team winning trophies and we can't fault him on investment money because United have spent a hell of a lot of money the last 4 or 5 seasons. So it's difficult to point the finger. Is it the actual squad? Is it the manager? Is there no cohesion between the two? Does the boardroom antics sort of have an effect when it comes to pitch? To the pitch. I think it's difficult to say and to speculate, but like I said, a very disappointing season. It's not a season we as supporters would have anticipated from the beginning. And like I said on a few episodes ago, I still don't see why Solskjaer was sacked, and to bring in someone like Ralph, who's done worse than what Solskjaer would have done had he stayed. I think had Ollie stayed, he would have grinded out a few more wins, and we wouldn't be, qualifying for Europa League by the skin of my teeth. We might have been even 4th. And then for him to sign a contract with the Austrian national team, and then yesterday we find out that he's not going to be staying on as a consultant anymore. It's mind-boggling what the thinking was behind it, what the agreements were, and agreements being broken. It's just, I think United are just all over the place right now.
I think it just goes down to the fact that when that appointment was made, that was an Ed Woodward appointment. Woodward left his post at the end of January. Richard Arnold, he then took over in Feb, and his vision was completely different to what Woodward's was, and he's actually trying to fix the club. I don't think the board was very happy with Ralph basically just calling it like it is. In my opinion, I'm looking at the bigger picture. I think Ralph's appointment was good for the sake of the club. I think that he said it like it is. He didn't give the players the babying that Ole did. The players thought that they could get away with anything under Ole and under Rangnick. It was just like, okay, if you want to act this way, I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When Lingard was kicking up a fuss, Rangnick said what the true reasoning was. When Martial said that he wasn't available for squad selection, he told the press the way it was. And I think if Ole had to stay in charge, all those players would have remained at the club and they would have just chilled on the bench for the rest of the season. And like I said, I'm just looking at the bigger picture. I think moving forward, a lot of the fans and a lot of the supporters, they know which players they can actually count on now. And I think moving forward, that's just the best thing for the club right now. Yes, Ralph's management was horrendous, but in terms of the management of the club itself, I think that was much better.
No, I hear you. But again, to an extent, like, there were obviously conversations had and agreements in place. So now when the season's done, all of a sudden, what was meant to have stayed and sort of a progression from where we were and now rebuilding, you just decide he's bugging off to manage Austria full time. Like,
I don't think that was his decision to go though. I feel like the board probably thought no, this guy's not really the best for us in terms of airing all our laundry out in public. Let's just terminate this deal that we had with him and let him go on and manage Austria.
But then don't you think they would have the same issue with Erik ten Hag, because he seems like he's an outspoken individual as well?
Well, time will tell. He hasn't had any matches to manage. He hasn't had any post-match press conferences to run. So I guess time will tell, and we'll see how they cross that bridge when they get there.
Nikita, do you want to go first? Or yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, what are you guys expecting from Ten Hag? What's the plan? What's the strategy? What's the turnaround time for success? You know, and Man United, let's not beat about the bush. Man United are a huge club, and what's happened the last 9 years? It has been mostly farcical. I think when City win the league next season, it will be 10 years without a league title. So what is the ETA? What does the timeline look like for Man United supporters?
I said on a few episodes ago, I was like, this guy needs to be given time. Like the fans need to be like properly patient with him. And I would think between 3 and 5 years for United to actually be back to where they're supposed to be. I don't want it to be that like, oh, okay, after a year, this guy's rubbish, get rid of him. Because some fans are going to be thinking that. Mubeen?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere between 3-4 years. I mean, a 5th year is not far off from 4, but again, it's a patience thing. And if we fast forward 3-4 years from now, we are then 10-12 years post Fergie. So what have we actually achieved? We won a Europa League, we won an FA Cup in that time. League Cup, sorry.
No, both.
What have we actually achieved? Both. Yeah. What have we actually achieved?
But I look so bleak here.
I'm looking at him now, and he looks dejected, man. He looks like a man that's defeated.
I am the face and the emotion of all Manchester United supporters right now.
Wow, the face of the rebuild.
AF looks optimistic. Maybe it's AF lighting or something, but he obviously knows something that we don't. He looks so happy. He's like ready.
I'm optimistic at the beginning of each season. I really am, and I always backing the team 100%. But if something's not going to give you, nothing's going. If the wheels are going to start turning in our favor, like I said, we're going to be 12 years post Fergie with no rebuild over that period, no spine of the team to build around. So we've got to give him time, fair enough. But in that time, I think he's got to win a couple of, let's call it minor trophies.
But I think that's where your problem is, man. Like in football, nobody is patient enough for a rebuild. And we're talking about the fan bases of the teams we support. People they talk about rebuild, but they want to win at the same time. And unfortunately, you can't always win while you're doing a rebuild, and that's where the balance and the patience has to come in. And you find like teams like United, they do, and I mean Arsenal's done it in the past, where they go halfway into a rebuild and then they sign players who are like, not on the timeline for the rebuild, but they want to compete now and they're thinking of the future. So, if you take a signing like Willian, for example, for Arsenal, it's like these players are going to contribute maybe for 6 months, but they're not long-term solutions, and they're going to block younger players from coming through. So if you look at United, if this manager is the one that they feel is the right one, and his history at Ajax is developing youth, then they're going to have to let youth come through, and you're going to have to deal with the growing pains. You're going to have to lose, and everyone's going to have to be comfortable with losing, because if you're going to focus on winning a League Cup, then that means you have to sign players who have the experience to go win it, because you're not going to win it with a whole lot of youngsters. Like obviously that Ajax team was different, that went far, I think in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken, or the team went far. But sometimes you have that group, man, generational talents, and unless United got that hiding in the academy somewhere, it's gonna be tough to wait that through. Otherwise, with their transfer business, they're going to have to just buy young players and hope that within 2-3 years they develop.
By the way, Williams Asian mentioned he's ready to come back to Europe. Brilliant.
West Ham written all over him, or like a Villa or something.
Nah, where's Lampard? Lampard's at Everton, right? So maybe.
Yeah, and he looks good in blue, eh? He looks good in blue, so yeah.
This is the thing, like nowadays, when the Oaks are like just, I used to play with Gerrard. Okay, I'm gonna go sign at
Luis
Villa.
Suarez coming back.
Suarez gonna come there. It's the pull of these managers, which is part of the reason why some of them get jobs. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, it's like seeing that you guys were speaking about Arsenal, I'm just going to stay on that topic now. They also had a bit of a roller coaster this season. But yeah, Ziyaad and Jason, you guys can tag team again. How do you summarize the season from an Arsenal fan perspective? Go for it. Go for it.
Because every time we must have a nice big segment on Arsenal, then Ziyaad has to go to a doctor at 9 o'clock in the evening. I don't believe it. Honestly speaking, I don't believe it. This man jumps away every time. And then you can chat.
You think this cast is fake?
Yes. It's like, Gnabry plays with the cast all the time. He said he's fine. Also, that's a very suspicious sign. Yeah.
I like how you threw Serge in there. I like how you threw him in there.
Yeah, I have to. From an Arsenal perspective, obviously it started very, very weirdly, and weirdly is a very loose term that I'll just throw in there. I mean, there were shouts that we were going to get relegated. I mean, that's never going to happen, but it was going to be one, like Ziyaad said, where there were going to be many growing pains. And this is after, I think this is Arteta's, well, it was his second full season, and there was still going to be growing pains. So yeah, it was one where you have to you have to take everything that happens with a good pinch of salt, a good amount of, okay, this is long-term building and stuff. And it's hard when your nearest rivals are not doing well, when they're signing good, and not even your nearest rivals, but like City, Liverpool, Chelsea, just opening up that gap. It was very tough, man. And you should hear this in my voice. I was very sad for long parts of the season. But at the same time, there were many glimmers of hopes that actually said, okay, maybe next season, maybe with the right signings. And looking at a model that Klopp implemented his first season, it was shocking. But there was some sort of a system. It was maybe not the guys that he really wanted, but then once he weeded that off, got guys that bought into the system, and also just adding back, or just circling back to that Lewandowski. If there's one guy that can bring him to the Prem, surely it's Jurgen Klopp. He did
100%.
wonders when he was at Dortmund, and
100%.
that whole system worked. Okay, maybe Lewandowski's not as young as he once was, but these are pro footballers. He keeps in shape. He's still very spriteful. I think he could still go for a good season or two and still dominate coming into that system. Would be interesting to see how they would play now, though. But yeah, Arsenal season, I think it will be summarized nicely in that Amazon documentary when it comes out.
I can't wait.
I
am so excited.
I forgot about that, man.
I'm so excited.
If that doesn't fund our next 3 signings, then I honestly don't know. Because that should make bank. Probably better than some of the new movies that have come up. I've seen people complain about Morbius and stuff. Maybe it gets more than Morbius. I don't know.
I'm gonna
disclaimer. Don't watch Morbius.
Yeah, +1.
Yeah, maybe Zippy can give his thoughts. Maybe a bit more.
I don't have much to add. Basically, it was just streaks. It was lose 3, win 3, lose 3, win 3, pretty much up and down. I mean, there was a stretch where we went unbeaten for 8, and then you lose a couple again, and it was just streaks, man. And at the end of the day, there is a bit of issue in terms of quality in some of the positions. The depth is also an issue, but with that, a couple of signings fixes that, and then all you have to work for as a manager is consistency. You get consistency, and things will get better, but if you don't have consistency, it gets very difficult. So for me, I think the biggest takeaway is Arteta is pretty much in. He's got what he wanted. He settled on a system. It's very clear. Now he has to take the next step. And if he doesn't take the next step, then I don't know. So I think that's going to be a pivotal season for him, especially if they've targeted the players they want. Obviously, missing out on fourth does impact who is able to sign. But I think that there are still some players that he could sell on his project because he seems to be pretty good at selling it. He now just has to translate that into actual performance. Simple.
So would you? Okay, you can go, Nikita.
No,
you
go for
go.
it. I was going to say,
Guys,
Okay, Nikita, go.
Somebody.
I was just going to say, where Arteta was disadvantaged compared to Klopp, and where Klopp was implementing his new style and way of play and whatever, is that I think some of the bigger guys in the dressing room only showed their true colors to Arteta this year. So to only be able to get rid of Aubameyang because he finally decided to show his true self this year in his second year is also holding back the Arsenal development. But I mean, it's there. I've been saying it on every podcast this season. You can see there is a plan, and I'm very excited to see how that plan comes into effect even more next season. Sorry, Mubeen.
No worries. I just wanted to pose a question to Ziyaad and Jason, or maybe one of them can answer. But given that Arsenal is also in a rebuilding phase, would you deem your season as successful, considering where you finished?
I mean that one comes up quite a bit, isn't it? I think from where it started, I think there's a fair degree.
Well, definitely from where it started, because you started from losing your first game.
Then
First three,
I think, would it deem it successful? I think in the long term, yes. Because like Nikita says, there was very good periods and there was very good signs. And I think that's all that I've ever wanted. I mean, it's always going to be hard coming from Wenger, who had implemented this thing over 20 years. Even Fergie as well. I think that's why both our teams are actually struggling. We've had managers we had a manager that stayed there for like years and they ran the club, they oversaw everything. And then suddenly they leave and then everybody else must try and pick it up. You know, it's almost like that last season of Game of Thrones. Shocking also. But yeah, I think it is successful. Obviously very disappointed to have lost out on that top four when we had it in our hands. But that just comes down to lack of quality in that final stretch, youth, maybe not having the right guys in those right positions. So yeah, I'd still say it's a successful season in terms of that long term.
It seems like Jason's trying to sell it to himself. He doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
If you gave me fifth at the beginning of the season, I would have taken it. Right? If you gave me fifth at the beginning, I'll take it. But the fact that we had fourth and it was in our own hands, if we just had to get the results, it wasn't like we had to beat other teams and hope for other teams to lose and so on. It was pretty simple if you think about it. From that perspective, it is disappointing because you had it. I mean, Spurs came back and stole it pretty much towards the back end. They just showed more composure towards the end. But yeah, so it's actually 50-50. It's a success to some degree, but when you look at where you were and what you had, it's disappointing.
So you just summarized what I said. Thanks. Eh?
Yes, but I did it with more confidence. I believe it.
No cheers.
You were like arguing with yourself in your head, man. Almost like you were deciding to go full Hulk or Bruce Banner.
I'm turning into Mikel Arteta, maybe even Pep Guardiola. Just jumping around the question.
It's all your media training, man. From when when you were about to sign with.
Don't aim my dirty laundry on the podcast.
Do it.
I think we'll have a sidebar for that. We can do a special episode.
Surely. Yeah. Let's not have me cry again.
Ziyaad, I'm going to come back to you for a second. Which teams do you think overperformed this season?
Overperform is a tough one because it's like, did they do better than they can, or is it more like a team who performed better than expected? I think for me, the team who did really well with the limited resources they had was Crystal Palace. I think they stood out for me. Just based on, so there's a graph I'm looking at and I'll post it so we can maybe add it to this somewhere. But basically, if you look at their wage bill and the league position that they ended, they overperformed quite a bit. Their league position, finishing 12th doesn't look that great, but I think they did fairly well. The other teams that did better than expected were Brentford. Obviously, they were fantastic in their first season. And then the third team that came up on that as well was Brighton, who outperformed what they were expected to do. Again, I see you're looking at me a bit quizzical there, Nikita, but I'll share the graph with you. You guys can check it out, but yeah, that's just based on what I read.
Cool.
No,
Nikki,
Liverpool. No, but my feelings a little. Okay.
No, Liverpool were
Check here,
expected
check
to
here.
finish second and finish second. Their payroll was like fourth, but in terms of the XG and stuff, they're where they're supposed to be. They're clearly better than the
Yeah,
other.
but at the beginning of the season.
Let me get my
man.
math right here. There's only one team that's above them. The others all don't come close. I mean, look at Chelsea. Weren't they like 10, 12 points behind? They were closer to Spurs than they were to second.
And they were actual title contenders at the starting of the season, eh? With Lukaku
so.
coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember saying they probably, well, one of my favorites to take it in that first episode.
Who, Chelsea?
But then Lukaku wasn't the actual missing cog.
No, but now
Yeah.
Chelsea's going to go. They're going to boost now because they got the Dodgers owners. You all better be careful. The league must watch out.
Yeah, no, I think we can do a nice preview for that when we do get back. Jason, which teams underperformed?
I think Mubeen covered my section earlier, Man United. I think also maybe, aside like Everton was all the hype that they had, I
And the
felt
money Everton spent.
very
Wow.
shocking.
And Ancelotti.
Yeah. Wait, did they have Ancelotti this season?
Yeah, bro.
No, man. Wasn't it
At the
Rafa
beginning.
start?
At the beginning. Yeah,
At the
Rafa
beginning.
took over from him.
He left in the summer. Then they signed
Yeah,
Rafa.
no, man. Yeah, then they got Rafa, and okay, Rafa started
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But obviously that was doomed from the start because, I mean, what Liverpool guy goes to Everton, man? Sis. And
Rafa's a
then,
Newcastle guy, man.
oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, and then just looking at the log, I'm also thinking Villa. To be honest, there was a lot of promise that was being like spoken about. They signed, what is it, Ingsy that went so quietly there. Luca Dean also went at the stage, and it's like, yeah, man, it's just lots of hype and then just nothing. So I think those are my three that I would throw in there.
Cool. Mubeen, which managers stood out for you? Is Ali on that list?
Yeah, we'll start with Ale, then we'll go to Carrick, and then Ranić,
What about Ronaldo? I thought he did a
and
good
then
job
we end
also.
up with Ronaldo because he ended up, passing the team around. But
He's like the LeBron of United.
yeah, I know we're running out of time, so I'm just going to go through it quickly. Obviously, Klopp, given the season Liverpool had, and to be in the running for quadruple by mid-May still. So definitely Klopp, and then Thomas Frank. I think Brighton had a quite consistent season that they snaked a bit, I think, between September, December with a few draws and losses, but the results got strong again towards the end there. And then I agree again with, like Ziyaad said, Brighton's a Graham Potter. I think Brighton had a pretty good season. They were up around fourth, fifth for a long time, maybe for the first half of the season, just a little bit less than half of that season. And I think his game management part of it, brought Brighton quite, they played some good football and so forth. And then my last one, got it written down, Ideal. So
Hey,
that's one.
the man's got notes.
Quality.
Yeah, I don't have the sticky notes on my screen. I'm still old school with handwritten. But yeah, obviously Wasim would be happy about this. Ideal. I think Newcastle obviously in the relegation battle, and we all know Ideal for a long time. While he was with Bournemouth, did quite a fantastic job there for quite some time, and Newcastle ending at 11th spot, I think, from where they were. So yeah.
And then finally, Nikita, which players stood out for you this season?
There's obviously all the obvious ones, you know, KDB, Virgil, Salah, Cancelo, but I thought that's all boring because those are all obvious. I think the guys who were like really stood out for me, but are kind of, I think, underrated, are probably Jared Bowen. I mean, he's had a phenomenal season. I mean, considering that, you know, West Ham had a proper European run this year as well. I think his game has improved leaps and bounds. I mean, his dynamism on the ball, his off the ball play, adding goals really look good. I think Riyad Mahrez, geez, underrated. I've never, I think, seen next to Salah. I think maybe it's just an African thing that these guys are so supremely underrated. I saw he didn't make the UEFA Champions League Team of the Year. Ridiculous, blasphemous almost. The guy is a menace. I saw he's only got the one knob on the back of his head now. I don't know how he's done it. I don't know if that's adding to his superpower, but he's been phenomenal. Third on my list is Conor Gallagher. I think really, you know, we've spoken about Crystal Palace and how well they've done. I think he really contributed to that engine room in midfield and got them where they were. And last but not least, Joel Matip. I reckon he was a better centre-back defender this season than Virgil. I honestly think that. I will die on this cross. And those are my four kind of big standout guys. Yeah.
That sounds good. And with that, that is all that we have for you guys on episode 20 of the 343 podcast. This will be our last episode until the 5th of July. It's a bit of a post-season break for us to regroup. We'll still be posting on our socials, so don't forget to give us a follow to stay up to date. Thanks everyone for joining. It was so much fun. Hoping to see everybody very soon. I'm AF for 343. See you guys next season.